This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Excellent news to start this Wednesday, June 18th. The Supreme Court just upheld Tennessee's ban on child mutilation. 6-3 decision upheld the ban in that state on transgender care for minors. I believe Tennessee is one of 26 states that has banned the barbaric practice, a practice which will be looked at years from now as utter insanity. This moment in history will not be judged kindly, but that's a good thing. 6-3 wasn't even close, so now states can proceed banning the mutilation of kids, of confused children. And I think we can all agree this is good news. This is overdue. This is insane what we have done to children in this 10, 15-year period, and we must bring an end to it. It is just child abuse. But that is a good thing. I don't always don't feel good about this Supreme Court right now, but that's a good decision, and we commend them. Now to the big news of the day. Here's the way I'm looking at it. As everyone awaits war with Iran, and as I said yesterday, I could see it both ways. There are a lot of confused conservatives out there. A lot of MAGA is kind of wavering, wondering what Trump is going to do. Here's what I think he's going to do. He's going to talk tough. He's going to make some bold bellicose statements. He's going to back Israel as much as possible, and he's not going to bomb Iran. I believe this for a number of reasons. First of all, I don't think he would have come out this strongly yesterday if he was indeed planning to drop the bunker busters, send in the B-2s, the B-52s. I don't think he would have announced it. He would have been so strong in his wording yesterday. I think this is a negotiation. I think this is Trump. Trump wants negotiations. He wants peace. He wants a deal. That's who he is. He would not be president if he didn't come out so strongly against a regime change war in Iraq. And now that same guy, 10 years later, is going to launch a regime change war in Iran. I don't think so. I think this could go wrong in so many ways, and he knows it. I think what would happen on day one, if we did indeed send in the bombers, take out their nuclear facility in the mountain there in Farduz, if he did that, it would be wonderful for one day. I think you'd see shock and awe, and I think the country would support it and rally around it. Then what? Then what? What if we took out the Ayatollah and there was an uprising in Iran and there was chaos and there were refugees pouring over the border, I don't know, heading to Europe? You know damn well Democrats in this country would say, bring them all here. Bring all the Iranian refugees here. We'll flood our cities with more Muslim refugees. We don't want that. The uncertainty is hanging, looming like a dark cloud, and that is not Trump's style. He does not want to do this, and I don't think he will do it. I think he will talk tough. I think he will support Israel. He will give them what they need. He should sell it to them, not give it to them, but that's another story. And this thing will fizzle out because I believe Israel has done a hell of a job. They have decimated, they've taken out like half the ballistic missile launchers. Iran is running out of missiles. Israel controls the airspace over Iran. Iran is being set back years by this current attack by Israel. Just let them keep going. Just support them, applaud them, give them what they need, and let them do their thing. If indeed Iran was close to a nuclear weapon, I'm going to guess this has been a major setback. Hell, Israel's killed like dozens of nuclear scientists and half the generals in that country. I don't think they're ready to arm up a nuclear missile and send it to Israel anytime soon. So I don't think this is urgent. I don't believe they're 10 minutes away from an operative nuclear weapon. We've heard that for 30 years, so we have reason to be skeptical. And it just doesn't feel right. Can I say that? It doesn't feel right to say we have to go in to this Middle East country because of weapons of mass destruction. Something about it doesn't feel right. We have done this before. We've been down this road before. You could say it's different, but think back. I think back all the time. I think back to the days when they were banging the war drums before Iraq in 2003. I was all in. I was convinced. I was sold. I said, let's do it. Saddam Hussein's a danger. He has WMDs. Let's take him out and then wait for a thriving democracy to take hold in Iraq. I was a fool. If you felt like I did, you were a fool. We were duped. We were lied to. We never should have gone in there. And Donald Trump knew it. He did not support the war in Iraq. He said it. And I don't think Donald Trump ever would have been president if not for this moment on the debate stage in 2015. And you tell me, if this guy you hear right here, if you think this guy is going to support a regime change war in Iraq, in Iran, go ahead.
They lied.
Okay.
They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
So
George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
That guy, you think that guy's going to go into Iran and destabilize the Middle East? I doubt it. I know what he posted on Truth Social yesterday. I know what he said. I know he listens to Lindsey Graham, which is frightening. We will get to Lindsey Graham, but throw Donald Trump's posts up yesterday. These made me a little nervous. I have to admit, I'm sitting there reading these. Here's what he tweeted earlier in the day. We know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He's an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out, parentheses, kill, at least not for now. But we don't want missiles shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for attention to this matter. And then he tweets all caps, unconditional surrender. I think that is a way to force Iran's hand, a way to threaten them. I think it's an attempt to get them to negotiate or to surrender or to call him or say, we need to talk. They're not winning this war. If you're the Ayatollah, if you're the mullahs, what do you do in that situation? You say, we have to save our ass. We have to save our country. Let's do it. Let's do what he says. Now, this one yesterday afternoon, this really made me shake my head, made me a little nervous, I have to admit. Trump posts, we now have, I'm sorry, I didn't get the emphasis right. We now have complete and total control over the skies of Iran. Iran had good sky trackers and other defensive equipment and plenty of it, but it doesn't compare to American-made, conceived, and manufactured stuff. Nobody does it better than the good old USA. It can be so glib while threatening the leader of a country of 90 million. But we, I know that there have been senators and congressmen and media people who've said we, but the president of the United States saying we, not them, not they, not Israel, us, have complete control. Now, you can say it's a way of showing support to our ally in Israel, fine. But that was the first time, and these words have such power and such meaning. To say we, you see that and you go, well, I guess it's begun. I guess we're in. But again, this is Trump. He promised no more wars. He promised there would be no more stupid foreign entanglements in the Middle East. And B, he takes pride in one thing above all others, that he's the greatest deal maker in the world, the greatest deal maker ever. People never seen anything like it. He can make a deal like nobody else. If he indeed makes a deal, if he settles this thing and the Ayatollah survives and Iran survives and Israel wins and decimates their missiles, but Iran survives, just like they did last year when they attacked Israel, then Trump gets credit. Trump cares about credit. If he goes in, blows up the mountain with the nuclear facility, if we are flying sorties over Iran, dropping bombs, then you say, wow, he didn't stick to his most central promise of the campaign of no new wars. We're in a war in the Middle East, next country over. And we have no idea how it turns out. We have no idea how it ends. Just like Iraq, same thing. And then what happens when an American dies, when an American plane goes down, or American is taken hostage by Iran? Then you have a wartime president, and that's what Trump promised not to do. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he is posturing, he is negotiating. He has no intention of going into Iran. I hope I'm right. I might be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll be really disappointed. This isn't necessary. I don't believe. I've read plenty. I don't believe if we don't drop the bunker buster, if we don't send in our own B-2s, B-52s, that they will suddenly start firing off nukes at Israel. I don't believe that. Well, I can't believe that. I said I would never believe that again after 2003, after the war in Iraq and all the damage it did. And I believe Trump underestimated the cost, $2 trillion. We know we lost thousands of soldiers. They came home with limbs blown off. That can never happen again. Trump promised it wouldn't happen again. So unless it is absolutely necessary to take out this nuke facility, and I don't believe it is, we can't do this. We have to let Israel go it alone. We support them, we arm them, we root them on, but we cannot let this happen. That doesn't mean there aren't a lot of people in this country rooting hard, cheering for this, for banging the war drums and saying the same goddamn things they said 20 years ago. This pisses me off beyond words. You want to say this is different now. We're never going to put troops on the ground. We're never going to put boots on the ground. We're going to wipe them out from the air, and that's it. We're going to eliminate the threat. That's fine. You say that, make your case. But when you start saying we need regime change, we're going to get rid of the Ayatollah, and they're all going to live happily ever after. 90 million people. When you say that Iran is the Nazi Germany of our time, I have nothing but contempt for you. In fact, you make me sick. Lindsey Graham makes my skin crawl. There were times when I was a Lindsey Graham fan. God knows he was great in the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. He is a war pig. He is aroused at this. I think he's literally aroused at the thought of American bombers, American bombs dropping in Iran and killing people. And what happens next? Well, we don't know. He'll tell you, oh, they'll be fine. They all want to get rid of him. We heard the same thing about Iraq, the same exact thing from the same guys. It's just disgusting what we're hearing. I cannot believe this guy actually says this in public, on camera. Does he know the contempt people have for him? Does he know we don't have an appetite for this anymore? Does he know how it worked out last time? Those are my questions for Lady G. He is just a disgusting public servant, and he is just begging, pleading, pounding the war drums, and hoping we go in there and just kill people and blow up things. What happens after that? Well, we don't know. It'll probably be chaos. There'll be refugees. There'll be civil war. There'll be terrorism. But he's all in. Listen to this a-hole. Go ahead.
Can you guarantee that? Can President Trump in any form, can you make the commitment that this would not lead to a longer war?
I can guarantee you that if the Ayatollah gets a nuclear weapon, he will use it. I believe that with all my heart and soul. So the men and women who serve, they're the ones going, not people answering a poll. And if you ask them, would you be willing to risk your life to stop the Ayatollah from having a nuclear weapon? All of them would say yes.
Can you stop it right there? Before I lose it here, we're going to get back to him because the whole rant is 2 minutes from this scumbag. If you asked the men and women of the U.S. military, 1 million strong, reserves, Army, Navy, Air Force, if you asked them, do they want to go into Iran to depose the Ayatollah for a regime change war, to create chaos, another war where we don't really know how it's going to end. You ask them that they'll say, yes, they're all in. He says they will risk their lives to topple the Ayatollah. What? I'm sorry. I know a few people in the military. I have good friends. Their son's an Army Ranger. This scares the hell out of them. That this guy is going to send their son to fight in Iran? What's the Central American interest? How does that help America? How does that help Americans? Oh, he has a nuke. He's going to fire it at Washington, D.C. Oh, yeah, he's going to blow up New York City. We're done with this. You're lying. You're begging and pleading for war and telling us everybody in the military, everyone, wants to go to war in Iran? I don't believe that. They know what happened in Iraq. They've seen people come home with no legs and no limbs and no blind and brain damaged. And we see the commercials for Wounded Warriors and Tunnels of Towers. We see Joey Jones on Fox News. We see what the price we paid the last time this war pig was demanding we blow up a Middle East country, because then democracy will flourish in that country. That's not going to happen. Anyway, let's listen to more from Lady G.
Because it makes our country safer. So we live in a world where you got to confront problems. You want to avoid World War III? Learn the lessons from World War II. People in World War II appeased Hitler to the point that it got so much out of hand, we had a world war and 60 million people got killed. So we live in a world where you pay now or you pay later. Let's stop this threat before he gets a nuclear weapon. Let's end this reign of terror. Let's do it now. It's not going to take 20 months, but I can't guarantee you your freedom and your safety unless we're willing to fight for it. I can guarantee you this: if we don't fight for our freedom, we will lose it.
No, shut up. Just shut up. Oh, yeah. It happened in 1942. We appeased Hitler. I had to look this up. In 1942, Nazi Germany controlled a vast portion of Europe. They controlled the annexed territories like Austria and Luxembourg, as well as military occupation of Norway, Denmark, France, and parts of the Soviet Union. Additionally, many other nations were either allied with or heavily influenced by Germany, such as Italy, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. They occupied 1.3 million square miles. What does Iran occupy right now there, Lady G? They don't even control their own airspace, and we're comparing them to Nazi Germany. They have a military of 610,000 troops and 350,000 reserves and a budget of $25 billion. Ours is $900 billion. Does anyone buy that Iran right now, who can't control its own airspace, is Nazi Germany in 1940, 1942? It's just such a lie. These people are shameless. This guy's disgusting. I'm not sure I can. But now I'm going to get to the most disturbing part, little news item of the day. We're going to get to the Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz Tucker Carlson debate. But I want to do this. This was this is on CNN.com. You're thinking, like I was, that Lindsey Graham is just an extreme warmonger that nobody listens to, and I hope that's the case. You know, you want to make the case for, dropping the bombs, fine. I don't want to listen to that guy who would support anything. If someone came out today and said, we should drop a bunker buster on the Kremlin. Lindsey Graham would go on Fox News and say, yes, good idea. Let's do it. Let's stop the threat before he blows up the world. This is from CNN the other day. I flagged it. As President Trump prepared to leave the G7 summit in Canada a day early amid escalating conflict between Israel and Iran, he dialed up his go-to national security confidant, Senator Lindsey Graham, who's also one of the GOP's most vocal war hawks. So as Trump is heading back to D.C. to convene his Security Council, he called Lindsey Graham for advice. Well, that's the advice he got. That worries me. He got that advice. Let's stop Hitler before he rolls into, France, or before he rolls into the UK, and, before he takes over the world. There's no comparison. It's a lie. It's what these people do. They lie. And if you're too young, or maybe you weren't paying attention, that guy said the same damn thing 22 years ago, 23, 24 years ago. Same freaking thing. And we listened to him then. We're not listening to him anymore. And I'm glad to hear people pushing back and pushing back hard. Let's get to Tucker Carlson, who went to D.C. to talk to some people. And man, Tucker just has no more F's to give. He is all in on stopping another pointless foreign war, and he's not buying any of their arguments, and he is pushing back hard. He sits down with Ted Cruz, and I'm not sure Ted expected it to go this way. This is just a short clip. Apparently, they spoke for 2 hours, but I think Tucker makes a good point here, and he calls out Ted for Cruz, and I like Cruz. Cruz is a great debater. He's great in those Senate hearings. He's a great, important supporter of Trump. But he's all in on this too. Not quite to the level Lindsey Graham is, but he's just like, you hear these superficial arguments. Oh yeah, they got a nuke. Let's get them. And Ted's all in. And Tucker calls him out for not really knowing the material. Check this out.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
what
predominantly Shia. Okay,
it's not even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
okay, I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
Who can't figure out if it was a good idea to kill General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
They're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe that,
we're carrying out military strikes today.
You said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting Israel.
High stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
That's a tweet. Apparently they go at it pretty hard for a couple hours. You know why this is so great? I don't care what side you're on. I tweeted about this and it's like half and half. Half of people hate Tucker now. They're calling him an anti-Semite. The other half of people are with him. But here's why this is important. We need this debate. We're talking about war. We're talking about bombing a country of 92 million. We're talking about an operation that's not going to be quick and clean and drop a bunker buster and we're done with it. It's just not going to work that way. We've been down this road before. We need this debate. We need these two sides to go at it like that. And we don't do that anymore, as you know. You watch cable news and Newsmax and Fox and CNN, and everybody has their own bubble, their own side. There used to be fights like that on TV every night. You had Crossfire. You had Tucker's show. Tucker on his Fox show had Adam Schiff. He had Eric Swalwell on. He had guys that would go at it, butt heads. And we don't do that anymore. And maybe people just don't want to fight. Well, we have to fight. This is a war we're talking about. We have to have the fight. We have to have the debate, the argument. We can't just say, oh, they're going to shoot a nuke at Israel. Let's blow them up. Let's talk about what's going to happen after that. What happens after you drop the bunker buster, which is what it's all about right now. It's called the MOP, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, 30,000-pound bomb that can only be dropped by two planes, B-2 or a B-52. Both of them are ours. Some people have suggested we lend them the equipment, including the B-2 or the B-52, and let them bomb. What difference does that make? That makes no difference if they're using our planes. What does that just give us cover? No. Either we do it or we don't do it. And right now, I don't think we should do it because Iran is the ultimate paper tiger at this point. I mean, they couldn't defeat Israel last year before this offensive attack, this bombing that Israel has carried out. I'm pretty sure they're not quite as strong as they were 2 weeks ago. Here's a message from the Ayatollah through Iranian TV. This was hilarious. Yesterday, they tweet out, Iranian state TV says, quote, tonight a great surprise will occur, one that the world will remember for centuries. Well, I was curious, got up this morning, first thing I looked for, what was the surprise? Anybody? Anyone? Ironhead? Any surprises? And he was mocked relentlessly on social media. People saying, is the McRib back? Is he going to drop the Epstein files? Here's another question I have watching that Tucker clip and listening to Tucker with Steve Bannon the other day. They're making the case saying it's not just about that nuke. Iran has killed a number of Americans, and they have. They killed them in Iraq. They killed them in Beirut. Through their proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah have killed Americans. Well, if that's why you want to do this, say that. Now they're saying Iran tried to kill the U.S. And I'm tried to kill the president. I heard that. We all heard that a couple months ago. I need to know more. Did they try to kill him through Thomas Crooks and Ryan Ruth? Did they have other assassins lined up to take out Trump? Before we take out a revenge, I need to know more. Tell me, when did they do that? Did they really do that? I will not allow myself to be swayed, to be persuaded the way I was 20 years ago. I just won't. I can't. It just doesn't feel right. It is not in our interest to get involved in this right now. I don't believe they're 10 minutes away from a nuke. And when someone tells me that, I say, he's just trying to get us to go to war. That's all. Because people like Lindsey Graham always want us to go to war. All right, we got so much more to get to. We got to get to these border numbers, incredible numbers at the border, and just another big fat lie from the biggest liar of all time, Joe Biden. Oh, I want to get to another biggest liar of all time, E. Jean Carroll, what this whack job is up to. But before that, we have to get to the most despicable, contemptible, disgusting member of Congress, Ilhan Omar. You're not going to believe what this ingrate had to say about our country. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If you've ever searched for your name or address on Google, it's shocking to find out how many results have your personal information, and it's not by chance. Data brokers and other people, search sites, collect your personal information, your name, your address, your phone number, financial info, income, and hundreds of other records. They sell it and they share it publicly without your consent. But Incogni is here to put an end to that. You don't have to email anyone, fill out forms, or jump through hoops. Incogni handles the entire process for you. It hunts down these unethical sites and gets your info removed from the places that expose your private information. Incogni also continuously monitors if your data is put back onto these databases, requesting repeated removals. This keeps them off it forever. So you get way fewer spam calls, spam emails, and you get more peace of mind. And best of all, you can cancel at any time. And they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can get it completely risk-free. Right now, you can get 60% off your annual plan by going to incogni.com. Use code Callahan. That's incogni.com/Callahan and use code word Callahan at checkout to get 60% off and protect your data for an entire year. Ilhan Omar was 13 years old. She was the youngest of 7 siblings. Her mother died when she was young. She was raised by her father and her grandfather. They were refugees from Somalia, a civil war in that hellhole. She spent 4 years in a refugee camp in Kenya. Then you know what happened? America took her in. The United States in 1995 took her in. She lived for a while in Arlington, Virginia, before moving and settling in Minneapolis, where her father worked as a cab driver and then for the post office. Her grandfather was very involved in local politics. She would attend caucus meetings with her grandfather and serve as his interpreter. In other words, this country has given this awful woman everything. I bet if you looked it up, she probably obviously she went to school. She probably had government housing, probably went to college on the donut. I don't know. I'm just guessing that the country gave her everything. And now she sits in Congress. She spent 2 years in the State House before ascending to the United States Congress. And all this hideous, awful creature does is run down this country. It makes me sick. There's nothing worse than ingratitude in any form. And this person just embodies ingratitude for this country and what this country has given her. She gives press conferences. In fact, I sent you one, Ironhead. We don't have to play it because it's in Somalian. She gives an appearance, a speech to a crowd in Minneapolis. It's all in Somalian. And all she does is say her top priority is the people of Somalia. And she wants to go back and live there someday. And I join many in saying, how about now? What's wrong with going there now? You could go back to your beloved Somalia today. You probably made a lot of money in Congress. You could go back there and live happily ever after, but she won't. She stays here and she dumps all over this country at every turn. And yesterday, she sunk to a new low. Listen to what she says about her adopted country that gave her everything, about your country. It's nauseating. Go ahead.
To be coming out of our country. I mean, I grew up in a dictatorship. And I don't even remember ever witnessing anything like that. To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries where the military are in our streets without any regard for people's constitutional rights, while our president is spending millions of dollars propping himself up like a failed dictator with a military parade. It is really shocking, and it should be a wake-up call for all Americans to say this is not the country we were born in. This is not the country we believe in. This is not the country our founding fathers imagined, and this is not the country that is supported by our Constitution, our ideals, our values. And we should all collectively be out in the streets rejecting what is taking place this week.
Oh, she's just so disgusting. Really is. One of the worst countries, she said about the United States. Why? Because we're enforcing the law. I really hope Tom Homan concentrates some of his people in Minneapolis and deports people like her who hate this country back to Somalia. I mean, I think it's time for an investigation into the immigration fraud that she committed. We know she did. It's been documented. She said she married her brother to get him into the country. And listen to what she said, that this didn't happen in Somalia. Oh, you mean people weren't flooding into Somalia. Illegal aliens weren't flooding into Somalia to get free hotel rooms and free phones and free food and free medical care. Really? Wonder what that could be. They're coming here illegally. We're enforcing the law, and she thinks it's worse than the dictatorship under which she grew up. That is sickening. And what is wrong with Minnesota? I know Massachusetts is just as bad, in California, New York, but people in Minnesota look at that person and say, yeah, that's who I want representing me in Congress. I know why. I know it's immigrants who vote for her. I know it's fellow Somalians who love her, but she hates the country. Shouldn't that be the number one thing on your list?
Absolutely. The difference between her and Elizabeth Warren, for like, let's say, is Elizabeth Warren at least comes across like she pretends to like the country at least.
Right. You don't hear that. I mean, you hear it from Ayanna Pressley, who just thinks this country's awful and racist, but Democrats are not sending their best. I should be glad. I mean, every time she speaks, it's a boost for the Republican Party. It really is. When you think about it, she's one of the faces, the most prominent Democrats. And she thinks this country is one of the worst in the world. Oh, God, does she make my skin crawl. But the good news is they didn't win. I can't imagine the state would be in right now if somehow, some way, Kamala had won, or Democrats had succeeded in putting Trump in prison or taking him off the ballot or killing him. What a mess we'd be in right now. Thank God there was a major correction. Get me those border numbers, because I don't think we fully grasp how corrupt, how destructive the Biden regime was. Again, we say it all the time. Their goal, their policy, their strategy was to flood your country with millions of people like Ilhan Omar, who hate you and hate the country, and destroy it from within. And hopefully give them all citizenship like she got, make them all voters, hell, make them all Congress people, and just destroy the country that we love, the country we all grew up in. Here is an amazing statistic. Illegal immigrants released into the U.S., May 2024, 62,000. 62,000. May 2025, 0. Not one. Not one. That right there, more than anything, explains what we voted for, what we demanded in November, what we needed for this to save this country. That right there. 62,000 people don't come across the border because, you didn't spend enough money and didn't have a wall. And that's intentional. Joe Biden intentionally tried to destroy your country for 4 years. It's going to be decades before we recover from the damage. And let me remind you that at every turn, every day, Biden lied about it. Kamala Harris lied. Alejandro Mayorkas lied to you. They looked you in the eye and lied and said, if we don't get legislation, if Congress doesn't pass comprehensive immigration reform, there's nothing we can do. The president said it over and over again. Joe Biden said his hands were tied. He didn't have the tools. It required legislation. And every time he said that, he was lying, while at the same time going full speed ahead with his policy to flood the country with tens of thousands of illegal aliens a day. And what did he do before, he had the meltdown at the debate? Every day, he blamed this madness on Trump. You remember that? And some Republicans, like that clown James Langford, that naked Ken doll from Oklahoma, that loser, supported Biden, said we need legislation. He supported legislation that would have allowed 5,000 illegal aliens a day into the country and provided them with lawyers and interpreters and everything else. Get Biden from when he talked about this. It's just a quick clip, a reminder of this absolutely disgusting, corrupt, lying old man. This is what he said over and over again while flooding your country with illegal aliens. Go ahead.
Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.
Wow. Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends closed the border just like that, day one. And now 0 illegal aliens released in the country. That's what that's why you and Kamala and you lost. You tried, you did your best for 4 years. You caused unfathomable damage to this country, but it's over now. And we are going in and going hard. And as Trump said, he changed his mind on giving a pass to farms and hotels. He's heading into the big blue cities, Chicago, New York, Boston, LA, and they are going to continue to remove these criminals from our midst. And I think back, everyone on MSNBC, everyone on CNN, everyone at the New York Times, everyone at ABC, CBS told you there's nothing Biden can do. They just need a bill. They need legislation. His hands are tied. They all lied to you for 4 years. That's all they do is lie. It's breathtaking just how duplicitous, dishonest the last administration was. All right, speaking of dishonest, I want to get to this. I haven't seen a lot of coverage of, remember E. Jean Carroll? Of course you do. E. Jean Carroll is the whack job who accused Trump of rape, made it all up. She was Christine Blasey Ford all over again. Again, all they do is lie. And Democrats and the media played along with this charade. I was reading about it again this morning, this case. Just made the whole thing up. This is from NBC News. They say Eugene Carroll, now 81, accused Trump of attacking her around 1996 in a Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room. She didn't know the year, let alone the month, let alone the day. You know why? Because then Trump may have had an alibi. If she said it happened on November 6th, 96, he could have looked at his calendar and said, I was out of town. They didn't allow that, obviously. They changed the law, extended the statute of limitations. Kathy Hochul signed a law, extending the statute of limitations so she could bring this charge against Trump 26 years later. This is banana republic stuff. We talked a lot about, the New York case with Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. We talked about Atlanta with Fannie Willis. We talked about them raiding Mar-a-Lago. This is the most outrageous thing. She just made it up. Absolutely made it up. Took it from an episode of Law and Order. You read it again and you say, she posed for a magazine cover, like in New York, wearing a dress she said she wore when she was raped. The dress didn't come out till years after she said she was raped in a dressing room. Well, she won the case. She got the verdict was $5 million he had to pay her, and not just for the made up rape or the sexual assault. They said it wasn't rape, it was sexual assault. Then they said he defamed her by proclaiming his innocence. It's just unbelievable that happened in this country. Obviously, we've seen a lot of hoaxes. We've seen the Christine Blasey Ford hoax. We've seen, the Fine People hoax, the suckers and losers, the Covington kids. This could be the most outrageous. And Democrats and their media allies just run with it. Yeah, Trump's a rapist. You voted for a rapist. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that people reaching out to me on Twitter or in person. He's a rapist. He's not a rapist. You know, she just made it up. And by the way, she has a long series of tweets talking about sexual assault and saying it's wonderful and rape is sexy. And this person, Trump, is still supposed to give her $5 million. She's the reason Democrats are allowed to call him a rapist. It's just utter insanity, what we lived through for the last 4 years. Speaking of which, I want to do this story. This hasn't got a lot of coverage either. Again, the theme is all they do is lie. Everything they do, everything they say is a lie. This story hasn't really made a lot of headlines. maybe you haven't even heard it yet. This is from Just the News. A confidential human source told FBI counterintelligence in the summer of 2020 that China's communist government was shipping fake driver's licenses to the United States to manufacture tens of thousands of fraudulent mail-in votes for Joe Biden, according to raw intelligence distributed to federal agencies that was reviewed by Just the News. The report, which was sent from Kash Patel to Chuck Grassley on Monday, was sent to U.S. intelligence agencies on August 24, 2020, and suddenly, recall with little explanation other than the Bureau wanted to re-interview a source. The report, officials told Just the News the FBI and other agencies were kept from fully investigating allegations that Beijing was trying to meddle in the U.S. election to benefit Biden. And the media ran cover. This story was 5 years ago that China sent 20,000 fake IDs to the U.S. Their plan was to distribute them in swing states. And you heard nothing about it. You know why? Because Christopher Wray, the corrupt, lying snake who ran the FBI, lied about it. He covered it up. And he went under oath before Congress and was asked about election meddling from foreign governments. He said, yeah, it's mostly Russia trying to help Trump. That's what Christopher Wray did. I need to know, once again, when are these people going to be brought to justice? This is remarkable. 19,888 fake driver's licenses, mostly from Hong Kong and China, on their way to battleground states in the Midwest. Keep in mind that Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin were decided by fewer than 45,000 votes. And this was just one shipment of fake IDs. And what happened when people on the right, when Donald Trump said it was rigged, when others said there were questions, irregularities, the media shouted them down. You weren't allowed to say it. You were banned on Twitter and other social media platforms if you questioned the election. It was a massive, coordinated effort to convince you it was the most secure election ever, which was a lie. It isn't possible during COVID with massive mail-in balloting and fluid rules for voting, laws. It wasn't possible for this to be the most secure. It wasn't even, that wasn't possible. And yet Joe Scarborough told you every day, and Steffi and Terry Moran told you every day, it's the most secure election ever. How is that? How could that be? How could that be? We got China sending fake IDs for the purpose of rigging the election, and we weren't told about this by the FBI. And by the way, China is the same country that sent millions, tens of millions, to the Biden family. This is a massive scandal, and you're going to hear nothing about it because we've been conditioned to not question. If you're election denier, that's what I was told. CNN called me an election denier if I said, gee, I wonder if all that mail-in balloting was on the level. No, it has to be. Of course it is. What are you talking about? All right. I was going to get to Elon Musk's drug test, but which was hilarious. Elon Musk tweeted out the results of a drug test. He's clean. No ketamine, no cocaine, no amphetamines, no Adderall, which is good. I like Musk. I'm rooting for Musk. I thought it was funny, but wouldn't you only tweet that out if you were clean?
He would tweet it out if it was dirty.
He maybe would. But the best part, he demanded the editors of the New York Times who slandered him, I wish he would sue them, and said he was on drugs. He demanded they do the same thing. Time for you guys to take a drug test too. I love Musk. I hope he stays around. But we should mention, we are waiting. We are on Karen Reed watch. Are you keeping an eye on that for me, Ironhead?
Yeah, they got a new verdict slip today, so hopefully there's less confusion.
A new verdict slip. Yesterday was a good day. There was no verdict, but it was a good day for the defense. They had 3 questions for the judge about coming down with a verdict, and 2 of them were definitely favorable to the defense. They wanted to know that if they could convict her of drunk driving without convicting her of manslaughter, which to me told you all you need to know, because Why would you ask about drunk driving? If you were going to convict someone of manslaughter, you're going to put them away for 10, 15, 20 years. You wouldn't give a damn about drunk driving. And even if they convict her of drunk driving and nothing else, that would be a victory, obviously, for the defense. It will also be an outrage from this whole rigged system. How can you convict someone of drunk driving 2 years later, when she never got a breathalyzer or a blood test? It wasn't even an issue. You follow the case. They didn't focus on OUIs.
What they're saying is that she did take a blood test, but it was like 12 hours later.
Oh, that's true. That's true. And
they did this weird math to be like, see, she was drunk.
And the prosecution wanted to make sure it was 12:20 and not 5 a.m. that they determined her blood alcohol level. That could be the compromise. They say, you know what? She was definitely drunk. But then the question is, we have cops. We have, hell, everyone in the case was drunk. Lots of them were driving drunk. And you're just going to say, you know, we want to throw a bone to the prosecution. Let's convict her of drunk driving, which will be ridiculous. But again, that's a big victory for the defense. I don't think they're going to convict her. I think today you're going to get a verdict and she will walk out of court a free woman, as well she should. But we'll be keeping an eye on that, because it's a big news, at least in this part of the world. And we will be waiting for war. Yep, waiting for war. Again, I think Trump, I don't want to say bluffing, but I think he's got a strategy here. He knows what he's doing. I'm glad he's the president. I don't think he has ulterior motives. He's certainly not concerned about the next election. So I think what he's doing is talking tough, trying to force Iran's hand. And I hope that's the case. And I hope we don't get involved, but we will see. All right, that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Every day between now and November, the American people are going to know that the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends.